welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and a how-to video on how to wire a 440 Magnum Mopar engine. Let's start off with the basics of what we're going to need. We're going to need a lighter. We are going to need a dental tool or a pin. I got a dental tool here, but you can use a needle if you want. We're going to need a good set of tweezers. These are my favorites for doing my wiring. They just fit my hand best for when I'm real tight in. Let's see here. We're going to need some 0.3 millimeter solder, and you're going to have to prep this before by taking the solder, cutting it in 2-inch lengths about, and then painting it whatever color you want your plug wires to be. Now, I'm not going to do boots on this because of the way these plug wires are going to go in there. They're going to be buried, and I'm not going to worry too much about it. The other thing you're going to need, some snips, a 0.3 millimeter twist bit, your engine, your distributor, and a whole lot of patience. The other thing I did is I downloaded the 440 firing order, wrote it up, put it on a little piece of paper. We'll see if we can get that. If not, well, it was a thought. So let's start by clearing out a little bit of room here. I'm going to move the plug wires off this mat. This is a smaller mat that I'm used to working with, but it's clean. So the engine's out of the way. We have to start with our distributor cap. Let's see here. If I can focus this, focus. See the nubs on there? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my snips and I'm gonna just trim those off. Just flush with, these snips are a little too big for this. I'm going to use my real small ones here. And we're going to go flush as close as we can. This distributor has a little bit of a bow to the top of it. So I'm just going around and taking the high sides off. You'll never know it, but it'll make it a lot easier for the next step. And what I'll do is I'll show you how to do one of these, and then I'll go around and I'll do the whole distributor cap, and then I'll bring it back. But what we're going to do is we'll set this down for a second. We're going to grab our pointed tool. Like I said, I'm using a dental tool, and our lighter, and I'm going to heat this tip up. And I'm not going crazy with the heat. I need to get a new lighter. But I am going to get it hot enough to where I have a second or two to work. The first time you heat it up, it takes a little bit longer. And now, visor down, I'm going to come over here and try not to burn my hands. And concentrate. And I'm going to make a little divot. And while that divot's still hot, I'm going to flip this around. And I'm just going to put it in there and cool that plastic off. And see what that did? That made a little spot that I can drill in there. So let me do that 8 more times, and I'll bring you back. Okay, we are back. Let me move the engine out of the way here for a second. And what I did is I put all those little dimples in all the way around. Let me take this and turn it sideways here so I can hold it better for you. I did all those dimples, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 0.3 millimeter and I'm going to drill in here just a little bit, and I'm going to come in at an angle so I don't tear up too much of the distributor. Just like this. And all I'm doing is I can't see with my visor on. There we go. All I'm trying to do here is give a landing spot so this doesn't have to be deep. See, I'm just making a little bit of a divot. Let me grab my tweezers and clean some of this out that pulled out and stuck. This one kind of pulled off to the side, but that's okay. We'll be able to work with it. Come around. Hit this one real quick. And like I said, I'm not trying to go deep in there. I'm just trying to make that divot a little bit easier to hit. There we go. Let's wipe some of that off. And I'm really trying hard tonight to keep everything in the camera. See how that's walking a little bit? So we're gonna have to fight that one. Don't get discouraged on it. Shoot, you can come in at a goofy dang angle. Here, you know what? Since this one's trying to fight me, I'm gonna come in at an angle here like this. And I'll show you when we're done. You'll never know. Same with this. We'll come in almost at a 45 here. Might as well do that with the rest of them. I was trying to make it a little more perfect than that, but I'd rather have it to where it works and doesn't tear out. See there? I'm just getting in there deep enough to make a mark on it, because we're not even going to glue these into this section here. So this is just for seating them down. Come in, give it a little dimple. And what I'm doing is I'm using those little tiny divots to make bigger ones. And I'm gonna go, now we're straightened out. See, that one's walking too. Some distributors drill better than others. Now you're gonna say, holy mackerel, that looks bad. But give us about 2 more minutes here and it'll look really good. All of those, and let's get the center. Just like that. Grab my tweezers. I'm gonna pull some of this away that looks bad, because it's not going to when we drill it out. Look at here, I missed one right here. Had a nice shot, and this one looks good too. All right, I'm happy with that. Believe it or not, that's gonna look good on there. I'm not happy with this little strand of plastic. There. So there's that. The other thing I did is I drilled a hole in the vacuum advance. Just a little one, not very deep. Just enough to that the solder will glue to it. Now we need to bring our solder over here. Our glue over here. And we need to glue this in place. And I'm going to take a good close look just to make sure I am heading in there. And that looks right in. Okay. And we'll pull the vacuum advance right here. So that's going to sit in that hole. We're going to bring the vacuum advance up. This is going to sit in this hole on an angle like that. So how about if I bring the vacuum advance there, because I'm going to run it into here. Will we pull this back out? Oh, geez, no, I'm not. I'm going to leave it there. That is a good enough fit. It's not going to go anywhere. So we'll move that out of the way. Next thing we have to do before we run our plug wires is I got to get that vacuum advance run, and we're going to have to run our fuel line up, because the plug wires are going to go over the top of them. So these are easy, believe it or not. What I have is I have a already painted piece of the 0.3 millimeter solder, and I'm going to take this with my tweezers and I'm going to dip it right in a cap full of super glue, and we're going to put it right in this hole like that, and there we go. That's our vacuum advance. It's huge. I am going to kind of fish it in there, but while that's drying, let's get some of our solder off. Maybe if I can peel it off the dang thing. And I'm going to run, I always run a lot more. I can get rid of that. I don't need it anymore. Solder than I need. So we'll give it a good healthy shot. That's about 1.5 miles more than I need, to be honest with you. But with this, I'm going to take it and I'm going to come through my fingers a few times and give it a good straightening both ways. Now, we're going to do the same thing underneath. Is I drilled a hole already in the carb right here for the fuel line. And you know what? I think I'm going to start right there with that one. So I don't need 1.5 miles. This is way longer than I need. So I'm going to cut a couple inches off, and I'll take that and put it in my brake line. My brake line and fuel line cable pile over there. I'm going to get a little bead on the back. We'll come over here, right in this hole in the carb that I drilled out earlier. We'll set that in there. Just like that. And while that one dries, I'm going to work on this one, because this is already ready to go. So let's take something round. Let's see here. I'm going to use the bottom of a paintbrush. And I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to wrap that solder around it, just to give it a little bit of a bend. And now I'll take my tweezers and I'll manipulate that over so slightly. And I see my length, because I'm going right in this center hole, right up front. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it right about there, because that's where I want to cut it. You don't have to measure any of this either. You know, just figure out how it's going to look and make it go where you want it. Let me find the hole that I drilled, and right there. Look at there, I broke that little piece off, or bent that little piece over, and I don't want that in the way. So get rid of it. Didn't get rid of enough. Cut that off. Now we're straightened out. Let's look for that hole again so I know where I'm going. It is right there. I'm going to take that, I'm going to bend it around a little bit with my tweezer, and then I'm going to just pull it into place. Whoop. And that's where our vacuum advance goes, right on the bottom of the carb. That's just where you're going to need, you just figure out where you're going to get vacuum from and go from there. Now the cool thing is while that we were messing with, this is dry. So how are we going to want to run this fuel line? we're going to go basic with it. We're going to take it and we're going to make a neat little bend right here with it. Get it to where it starts to flow for us. We're going to come around. And this is just because this is where I want it to go. You can run it however you want. But today, I'm just going to run a simple hose, or not hose, but the line down. I already, again with, sorry about that, the 0.3 millimeter drill bit, I drilled a hole in the bottom of the fuel pump. Not sure if that's the right spot on the bottom of the fuel pump, but that's where I drilled it, and that's where it's going to go. So I'm going to cut this off. We'll go right about here because I know I need to bend that around and get it up in there. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to bend it into a hook, and I'm going to keep going until it's right where I want it. Now here we go. We're going to take that. I'm going to keep pressure on here with my finger or my thumb that still has gold on it. My gosh, that Tamiya paint does not let go. And we're going to just take this and put it in the hole and give it a little push. And now I'm going to tuck that up underneath right here and check that out. In a minute and a half, he did a vacuum advance and a, well, a minute and a half, 5 minutes, he did a vacuum advance and a fuel line. Bingo, baby. That was quick. And we have more fuel brake line. They're the same size. In my book, they are, because that's the size I have. All right, so here's where we're at. Our fuel lines run, it's out of the way. Our vacuum advances run, it's out of the way. I know I'm going to have to run a PCV line on both sides. Those will be out of the way because we're running the wires this way. And I'm going to run the vacuum booster around and bring it into the backside. So it's all out of the way. So we're ready to start gluing in spark plug wires. And a lot of people go from the distributor out to the head. But with these lead wire, I go lead wire, solder wire, I go the other way. And so let me get these close to where I can just reach out and grab someone. Just like that. Get my cup of glue. Let me see how this is doing. That's perfect. See, I let it sit out a little bit and it started to get a little bit thick. Let me get my toothpick out of the way because if not, it's going to end up gluing to my mat. Take our first piece of wire. And again, I like using the yellow because it shows up on with the mat. You can see what I'm doing a little bit. And I think that reminds me of Excel wires, and I like them. Now, when I put the heads on, or the valve, the exhaust manifolds, I made sure that I could still see all the holes that I pre-drilled in this block, or the head. So here's, I'll show you again, or I'll show you. There's one, two. I'm doing this for my benefit too. There's the 3. And 4 is buried right there, but we can still hit that, no problem. As a matter of fact, we'll do that one right now, as soon as I find the solder wire I just set down. All right, well, here it is. Boy, did that blend in with the yellow. I thought the yellow would be a good idea. I might have wanted to go red here. But anyhow, let's get that first wire in. Take a little bit of glue, find your hole, and push it in. And man, that one went in very well for me. Let's do another one. this one you'll be able to see a little better, and then after that I'll put the rest of them in, and I'll bring it back. I didn't put the coil in yet either. I will do that, but that's going to be after I wire everything else up. That one's an easy one to drop in there, so I'm not worried about getting the coil in. That I can do anytime. So there's the next one right there. If I can hit it. I can't see it. Let's see here. I'm going to grab my drill bit again and find it. There it is right there. Sometimes when you paint over these, you lose the whole side, the whole mark. So don't be afraid. And the other nice thing is if you break this off on the head, it'll drill out real easy. So there we are. There's two. You want me to go one more? Daisy says yes, since I struggled with that one. And I don't want you to think that you have to struggle with these, because it's really not hard to do. I would suggest you have a good visor. All right, here we go. There's three right in the hole, and that'll glue that. For some reason, the super glue dries, well, super fast with these plug wires. Last one on this side, and then I'll go and do the other side. Trying to find the hole again. There it is. We're in. Straighten it out. All right, that's 4. I don't need to bore you by driving wires and holes. I'll get the other 4 done, and I'll bring you right back. Okay, here we go. All 8 plug wires are in, glued. They're not going anywhere. Takes all of about 3 seconds for them to dry. So now we got to run these puppies. So what I like to do most of the time is I like to run them from the back to the front, and I'm usually going over the top of the valve covers. Well, the way this exhaust is we got to go underneath. So what I'm going to start doing here is I'm going to start stacking these on top of each other. I like how that fuel line landed. So we'll start off looking for number 1, which is 1. I got this off the internet. 1728. Rotation is this way. And the first one will be plug 1. So that'll be easy enough. That's this one right here. So how do I want to run that? I want to take it, and I want to remember there's gravity. I got to remember that there's let me see here, get my finger out of the way. This is the motor mount, or the engine mount, where it's going to lock in, right here. We still have a starter to go in here, but we want to make sure that we keep clear of this, so I'm going to have to come over with these 2 and around. But this one, we can run around, up along the side of the fuel pump, come over here, and we're going to say that number 1 is right here. So let's do that. I got my thumb. I will use my thumb quite a bit. We said that this one will be number 1. And it doesn't matter where number 1 is, because it's going around in a circle. But you have to start somewhere. So we're going to drop this one right where it's easy for me and call that 1. Now I made that awful long, so I'm going to use that to stretch around, and we'll start doing our roll around. See, I'm picking it up and twisting it at the same time against my thumb. And that gives me that nice arch there. See here? If I can grab it, I'm picking it up, and I'm gonna roll it in. And now I'm gonna cut this right at the top of this arch on this one. And you're gonna have to eyeball every single one of these wires to go where you want them and make them look how you want them to look. So lengths are whatever you're gonna need. So that's why I always go 2 inches on these things to give me more than enough to put them where I want. Now that's almost in the hole. Am I in? Yeah, okay. And I just felt that drop right in that little hole there, so that one's not gonna go anywhere. And I think that looks good. I'm gonna give it a little tuck because of the water. Remember the radiator's there, so we gotta, or the radiator hose. So we gotta leave a little bit of room for that. And yeah, that's gonna get pinned up, but that'll be okay because it is what it is. So next we need the number 8 wire, which is way back here. But I'm not gonna do the 8 wire. I wanna do the number 2 wire, which is all the way, actually it's the last one. So it goes, in rotation, it'll be 1, and then it rotates this way. So since number 2 is the last one, we're gonna drop it right here next to number 1. So that really is convenient for this. So we'll just take it, think about gravity, give it a little bend around, come up alongside the fuel pump or the fuel hose. This is going to be an easy one because we're going to go there. I'm going to let that curl back for right now. We can bend that here in a second. I'm going to snip off to a manageable amount. And now I'm just going to take this and I'm kind of putting my thumb on it to steady it, or my finger, and I'm going to rotate it around, and I'm going to keep rotating it around until I'm right where I want to be, which is right over top of this. And I'm going to drop that in that hole right there. How about that? Adjust it a little bit, make it to where it's going to be out of the way, push it down. And yeah, I scratched the paint a little bit. That's okay. It's Tamiya's flat yellow. It touches up really nice. So that's 2. Where's 3 go? So we're going to go in order this way. It's 1, 8, 4. So we're 1, 8, 4, 3. So 3 is the one right here that was kind of messed up in the back. And we're already, we did the 1, we did 2, we're going to do 3 the same way. Let's see, how do we want this to look? We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to kind of follow the leader here and bring this around. Put my thumb there, bring it around the side of the head, and this one's going to come around the back. And now you see why your vacuum advance needed to go. So I'm going to cut this, about that high, just eyeballing it here, and I'm going to make this circle right now like this. And I'm going to give it a twist like that, and we'll put it right in there where it's messed up like this. And since that one was kind of messed up, I may put a little drop of glue there because the side of it's a little blown out, and I know it went in. No, it it didn't. Let me put a little drop of glue there. And I'll pull this towards very close to the way I want it, which it's not right now. It's coming way up in the air. I want that to be down farther, and now I'm going to twist it around. I'm having a hard time. My thumb is too big to fit in here. And I just saw that I pushed my vacuum advance back out of that hole. Let me get this piece out of here. This is what's messing me up. I didn't notice there was a burr there. Let me grab my really pointy ones. We'll get that burr. Then I'm going to chase around here for an hour. There we go. And now we're going to take just a piece of the solder. I'm going to dip it in here. I'm going to come over and I'm going to put it right there in that hole. Get a little bit in there, and then we'll take this and we'll glue it in just like that. It's not going to glue. There we go. That held. Now fix my, I knew I was going to do that. I just put my thumb on the bottom. Let me get some more of that glue. I hardly had any on this, and it likes to stick to the solder. Here, how about if I just do that? And every one of these you do is going to be a little different. And that's what's all fun about this. There we go. By the time we figure out where the next one is, that glue will be dry. So we got that was 3. 4 is right next to 8, so it's 1, 8, 4. Come around. And you can see there's no hard set in stone, by gosh jolly, you got to do it this way with these. It is what it is. It's easy. Remember, I have radiator hoses that are going to come through here. So let's take this one, cut it up about that far, and I'm just going to bring it around like this. Drop that right in that hole, and we'll call that good. So now, here we go. We're just going to bring it around, and 5 is the middle of 7 and 2, so it's going to be right here. This is 7, 2, so this is 5 right here. So we'll bring it around, up, over. This will be an easy one here. See, we're just running it around just like the other ones. Up. I'm going to come up and over. Get up onto that other one. Push back a little bit, and I'm going to snip that right now. Right about there. And we're going to come in. Remember, we're going right here. This one's real close to it, just the way it drilled. But that's okay, because you'll never ever know, and you don't have to do frickin' firing order either. I'm having fun tonight with it. So we're gonna let that one come up and into the spot right here where the other one should have been, and these two will match up pretty nice. There we go, like that. Now, let's just bring this around. This is what, 2, 4, this will be 6. 6 is right here. This will be right up and around. And I'm not even gonna try anymore, because I know I'm taking too much of your time. So I'm just going to make this close. Bring this one around. I'm going to turn it a little bit. See, I just pulled that number 2 out of there. And that one. There's that one. Put that one back in. Don't get discouraged if you move stuff around, because it's going to happen. You're doing a whole lot of tug-of-war stuff here. But it's easy to fix, too. See here? Get that? Now I'm kind of just trying to, I'm going to bend it up, pushing it against that so I can get it in line there. There we go. Let's bring this one back and put it here where it's supposed to be. Put this one back home where it's supposed to be. If I can get a hold of it. There we go. Drop that one right back in there. And now we got 2 left. And number 8's gonna go right here, like this. So we'll bring that one underneath. Follow the line with all the other ones. Come up and around the back side. And we're gonna just kind of bend it. See how I pushed it to give it that bend right here? Just don't push too hard or it'll kink it. And then you gotta straighten it back out, which I'll show you right here. Let me see, do I have an extra piece? I do, right here. All right, say you kink it. You know, oh crap, look at, that's not the way I wanted it to go. You know, it's all bent around. Straighten it around a little bit like that, and then take your fingers, grab the whole thing, and pull it through your fingers. Let me see you do that with wire. That's why I like the solder. It's very forgiving. All right, where are we? We're on number 8. So let me take this, cut it up about there, grab the tweezers. I'm going to take this one, give it a nice bend, come around, give it a twist, put that one that I just knocked out of the hole back in, put that one in the hole, put this one that's just giving me fits here. The way I've rubbed these 2 together, I'm going to put my finger, we're going to fix these 2 right now. There we go. That one's in. And that one, I'm going to bend up again. I don't have a good enough, there we go. Now we got a good angle in there. Ta-da! Look at this, we're down to 1 wire. Again, we got to go around our intake, or our exhaust intake. Come down around, we'll come up, and this one lays in right here. So we're going to just go up, over, bring it in. I'm going to snip this off right at the edge of the wire or the paint. I could have painted this a 1/16 of an inch longer. I'm going to push down with my thumb to give it that little bend that I always like to get, the gravity bend I call it. Push down. Let's bend our 90 in this thing right now. Give it a good 90 for this. There we go. See there? Now we're going to take that whole thing and make it to where it looks like gravity is pulling it down. Now I'll line up that hole, put it in there. I don't like the way it's laying here, so I knew I was going to pop that out. Now I'll put it down in there. There we go. And how about that? There's pretty much 7 spark plug wires, pretty close to where they're supposed to go. Put that one back in the hole. I'm going to bend that one again like I did the other side and put it in the hole. Just like that. And there's your wires. I will put the coil on here. I think I'm going to put it right here because that's where I want to put it. I don't like it hidden. I want to make sure I have room for my radiator hoses to come out. I am going to use the stock radiator hoses on this because I like the way they bend. They look good, but check it out. That's not hard to do. I got 19 minutes on it since I brought you back after we did the glue on. So we're 20 minutes to wire this plus the prep time. There we go. Now I can run my vacuum lines. I can run a couple other things. I can run my distributor, my return spring. I'm going to make a little bracket here and have it run up that way. I'll have the wire coming straight out this way for my throttle cable. I have, like I said, the PCV lines. Unless these are breathers, I got to look online. That's why I haven't drilled it out yet. So there we go. But plug wires, less the coil wire, in half an hour, 45 minutes. So there we go. I will let you go. I am Mark. This is Grandpa Mark's Hobbies, and you all have a great night.